Hey, what's up, everybody? Purpose Real Life Sports back here for another video. This video is going to be about NBA, one NBA topic and one NFL topic. The NBA topic is going to be about LeBron James and David Griffin. There's a story that came out yesterday, or I believe, or it was a couple days ago. It's a crazy story, and then I'm going to talk about NBA contracts. I mean NFL contracts. I'm sorry, NFL contracts and how the market is set. So first off, LeBron James, another LeBron James story. I know another LeBron James video. I know it's crazy, guys. We can never escape this guy, no matter how long it is away from the NBA season. Excuse me, but David Griffin. I think he did an interview with The Athletic, or was it Sports Illustrated or USA Today? It was either one of those three: The Athletic, Sports Illustrated, or USA Today. He was talking about the experience of being a GM on the Cleveland Cavaliers, specifically the time he had with LeBron. I think a lot of things were taken out of context in that interview. But one thing that was taken from the interview was him saying that he had a miserable time being a GM of that team. Another thing that was said was LeBron seems to always get all the credit, but none of the blame. Ooh, that's a big one. Because there's a lot of that people say that goes around, and then there's a lot people say that doesn't, and I think that's one of the things that people don't talk about as much as I think that they should. Because I like LeBron a lot. I'm not the biggest LeBron fan. I like his game, but I'm not I won't call myself a fanatic, even though I am kind of a fan. Uh, Plain and simple, he did come on and try to defend his what he tried to defend his competition by saying was that it really was the media that he was miserable with, because wherever LeBron goes, there's going to be a media circus. There's going to be fanboys. There's going to be media guys who love him. There's going to be guys who hate him. I think he's talking more about the guys who kind of hype him up to a certain degree more than the people who hate him, because it's just a different level. My thing is that I didn't like how he did this interview, because LeBron, he I've talked about this with my mom a lot, and he's probably been the most scrutinized NBA superstar that I've ever seen, because we put him on a pedestal, right? We hype him up, and then we find a way to tear him down, and then we hype him up again, and then he does something, or he doesn't make a he doesn't complete something. Like, let's say he says he's going to get to playoffs, he activates playoff mode, which I think that's, you don't really say that. You don't say things like that. Then he doesn't make the playoffs. Boom, 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 boom. Not the best player in the world. So it's just one thing about that's the thing that I don't like about the media, is how the media loves to change the narrative, to, change topics, change how they try to make us view a player. The media is really slick that way. It's easy to catch, but they like to be slick about it. They can't trick me, can't trick my mom, they can't trick a lot of people, but they try to be slick. And LeBron is just that great, where but he always finds a way to rise above it. And I think this year was really a teaching year for him, because LeBron's went through a lot this year that he's never went through before. Had the big injury. One thing, I'm only going to say this once because I've heard it so many times and it's just really become irritating. They did have the fourth seed when LeBron got injured, and then all these injuries happened, then they weren't in the playoffs. Okay, I said it, I'm not going to say it again. No matter what LeBron video I'm going to do this year or next, I'm not going to say that again, because I've heard too many analysts say that. Okay, it's not what you did, it's what you do. Okay? Got that out the way. Now, next. LeBron is just that great of a player, where they're going to try to tear him down a lot of times. And I think this did help some people who would try to criticize LeBron by saying, "Yep, he takes a lot of the credit, but he doesn't take a lot of the blame." I will say that a lot of times the media does try to portray that with LeBron, which does, I think, can be irritating to people who will prospectively play with him, because I remember in the 20s, I think 2017 finals, LeBron had a pretty great finals. I think he averaged a triple double. Kyrie, I think, averaged 27 in that finals as well. Kyrie played exceptionally well, but a lot of blame was cast on the players beside him, even though that Warriors team was not going to be defeated. It's just things of that nature that happen, where you know LeBron is always going to play great to me. But let's say his team has an underwhelming performance. LeBron, to me, should always get part of the blame because as a leader, there's a certain level of play that you have to use to elevate your teammates, and that doesn't involve dishing out 10 assists. I'm going to say it again. It doesn't involve dishing out 10 assists because assists only go a certain way in terms of helping your team perform. Sometimes you got to make a defensive play. Sometimes you got to sacrifice your body by diving for a loose ball. To me, being a leader on the court is about setting the tone. And one thing that I criticize LeBron for is him not adapting at times. And one thing I haven't talked about, but I will say now, is that a lot of times LeBron can use certain different times to set the tone with a different type of play that doesn't involve dishing out an assist again, but getting a defensive stop where I see him let guys drive by him, or he leaves his teammates in the dust by not sliding over to help, like he did do in years past. So LeBron's a great player. I didn't like David Griffin coming out with these comments in the first place, but I understand that he has a job to do. And, he has his own things to do. It's not always about LeBron. I will say that. I think a lot of people get upset about that too. It's not always about LeBron, but he's today's greatest player. He is this generation's best player, even though you could probably say Kobe is too. Kobe's forgotten about. Kobe's slept on. I might have to do a Kobe video because I love Kobe a lot. Like, there's it's just something that people don't understand about him that it just throws me off. Um, but I'll end this segment by saying LeBron is great, and let's just start being consistent. I'm gonna start being consistent with him because I love LeBron. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do enjoy watching him play. But the consistency where if you love him, you gotta love him. Let's stop trying to tear him down at every turn that you can get. If you're gonna say a bad thing about him, at least say one good thing. LeBron always does something good, even though he does something, not great at sometimes. The next segment: NFL contracts, market setting. Michael Thomas, the receiver I talked about a couple videos back, he actually got a new contract, 5 years, $100 million. I think it did say 5 years, 96.25, but incentives go in, so that adds it probably to $100 million, which is the richest deal in NFL history, besting Odell Beckham Jr. So the Dallas Cowboys have an issue, which is great to me because anything that doesn't help the Cowboys, to me, great. I love seeing them not succeed. Now I sound very selfish and hateful, but people, you got to get off the Cowboys train. I don't know why there's so many damn Cowboys fans everywhere. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, the Cowboys have Amari Cooper, who they have to re-sign to a new deal. Wide receiver, great player, great young player. Dak Prescott came in as I think he was a fourth round draft pick. Hasn't made over $1 million yet in his career at a bargain deal. The only reason why he's probably made over $1 million is because of endorsements, and that's it. He's severely underpaid. He's going to get his money, which he deserves. I will say that he does deserve his money. I will talk a little bit about him as we go through this segment. You got Ezekiel Elliott, who's holding out in Mexico, trying to get a new deal because he knows he's got 2 years left on his deal, but he knows as a running back, his position is so devalued that they will use not only going to let you play out your contract, they're going to give you 2 years of the franchise tag to run you into the ground, basically. And then once you're ran into the ground at the age of 28, 29, no team wants to re-sign you. So you don't even get a second contract mostly as a running back. It's completely pathetic. Then down the line, they got to re-sign Jalen Smith, Leighton Vander Esch. Byron Jones is up, I think, after this season or coming up next season. So Cowboys got issues, but in terms of market setting, quarterback position has been probably my least favorite position in terms of analyzing contracts because there are some contracts for quarterbacks who should not, who just, to me, in my opinion, now you may think differently, I don't think they deserve those contracts. I'm just going to be quite honest with you. And it's kind of tipped the scale to where quarterbacks have just kind of used the leverage to kind of sometimes handcuff teams, but because that's what the market says, you can get those deals. I'm gonna, you know, Derek Carr of the Oakland Raiders got a 5-year, $125 million extension, and he was coming off a great season, but damn. That your cap room, because cap room in the NFL is way more important than it is really in the NBA, because you don't have a hard cap in the NBA. You have a soft cap where you can go over it. You're going to pay luxury tax dollars, but you can still build a team around that. In the NFL, there is a salary cap, and because it's hard. Once you reach there, you can't go over. Then you're in the negative. Then you can't. You're done. So, and then Matthew Stafford of the Detroit Lions. I think he got a 5-year, $127 million extension. Nope. Hasn't even won a playoff game yet. And that's my problem, is that, quarterbacks who haven't won playoff games, haven't won Super Bowls, haven't gotten to a conference championship even. That's my problem with these contracts, is that a Dak Prescott, who's a really good quarterback, I'd say he's very, very much better than average. I think he's only won one playoff game in his career, and he's probably about to handcuff the Dallas Cowboys for a long time, because guess what? He's playing his numbers based on the market. If To me, the reason why the NFL and players have a problem is because we don't value them based on their production. They're valued based on what the market says. Now, the Cowboys said a couple days ago that they don't want to reset the market with these contracts for the young players. They want to get their players paid, but they still want to have money because they're trying to build a championship roster. I think that's how every team should think. Why do you think the Patriots have been so great for the last 20 years? 19, 20 years? Because they know how to build a team. Because Tom Brady not only sacrifices money because he has a higher signing bonus than his actual salary, but guys know that you're going to have to, kind of take cuts in areas in order to be successful, because they're trying to build a legacy. Because you can get endorsements, but how you remember it is more important to them. That's how people think sometimes. It market value and production. Market value and production. That's where I lean. Market value to me, it sucks, because then you're putting average players who have average numbers and who are at a premium position like quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, who have pretty okay. A quarterback throws for 3,900 yards, right? 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, has a 95 quarterback rating. That's pretty good that's very good for a season. Let's say he has 3 seasons like that, as coming up at the end of his rookie deal. But then he's up for a deal. Then a team is like, God damn it. And then they don't win a Super Bowl in those 5 years before his contract is up. They're like, God damn it, let me tell you why. Because now we got to pay him market value, even though he's not in that market. He's not that great of a player. So, if I'm going to say this and end this video, because I don't mean to confuse people, but, it's just my thing is I want it to get back to the point where we pay a player based on production. Because Madden football is not realistic. It's like a football simulation. It's kind of realistic, but even though the gameplay is iffy, kind of like 2K is iffy, 2K is really good with their contracts. Where NBA is great because you get paid based on your production. Your production is how you get paid in the NBA. I love the NBA. That's how they pay their players. NFL, you gotta get that right completely. It's killing the player and ownership management relationships, because players want to be played based on the production. That's how it should be. If I'm going to say anything, pay a player based on what they have produced for you. If they've been great ever since they're a rookie, you got to pay them, bro. Like, this market stuff has just thrown everything out of proportion, because I management, NFL general managers, who people in charge, production, and then production ties into market value. I mean, godly, if there are 32 teams in the NFL, there's 53-man roster. You got an average salary cap out to that, but you make $13 billion a year. Roughly teams make about over $250 million a year in earnings. Each team does. You gotta. It's, to me, at some point, NBA has really been good with that. NFL's got to get back to that. It's got to be more even. It's got to be more fair. So, wow. But thank you guys for watching this video. I like talking about these topics with you guys. I found this very great, entertaining. I always love to educate you guys on this stuff. I always want to thank you guys for listening. Always leave a comment of what you guys think, and always tell me what you guys want me to talk about. Definitely think about doing a Kobe video next time I do a video. I'm gonna think about that though. It's gonna be kind of weird, but it's Purpose Gym Life Sports, Purpose for short, and I will see you guys in my next video.